Bhajahure manam Sri Nanda Nandanaya Bhaya Charanara Bindari Bhajahure manam Sri Nanda Nandanaya Bhaya Charanara Bindari.
So, Govardhan Maharaj mentioned that miraculously he appeared from our land. So, miraculously he appeared from our land. So, for me, our Giriraj, his appearance was miraculous for me. I know I've told this story a few times, so pardon me. But it's a very nice story for me anyway. I noticed yesterday, I found those vases, those brass vases we have here. There was a box in the attic. It was marked Puja, and it was many of the things that we had from Floral Park, like those vases. And one of the things there was a Srimad Bhagavatam. It still has sandalwood paste on it that I used to worship. Right after taking sannyas, and I was doing book distribution, I purchased a van a couple months after I came back to America, maybe a month or so after coming back to the United States. I bought a van so that I could travel and distribute books, which is all I knew about Krishna consciousness was going out and trying to get people to take one of our books. So, got a van and did the only thing I knew how to do, fill it up with books. so that was the next thing I did. I bought enough books to completely fill the van from a couple cases high, like about here, and the whole thing covered with, the whole thing filled with books. And then I went about to distribute them. And every once in a while someone joined me for a few days or a few weeks or something, but mostly I was just by myself visiting some airports that I knew I could get permission to get a permit and distribute in. And so I did that, and for a few years, maybe 3 years, from 81 till, no, 82, from 82 to sometime in 83, I think. No, maybe 1 year, a year and a half, 2 years, I don't know. And around 84, I don't know, late 83 or 84, something like that, somehow I either was, I was distributing books at the Dallas-Fort Worth airport. I was selling books at the airport there. And somehow, I don't remember how, but I contacted some people that I had known previously when I was in the Dallas temple. There was a group of people. I think only one of them had been initiated. They were uninitiated, but they would come to the temple regularly in Dallas from Fort Worth. Not regularly, but sometimes. Anyway, I knew them. Somehow they asked me to, come to Fort Worth, and let's have a center here. Well, have regular programs. They're very enthusiastic for that. So I did that, and I stayed in. This one man, he had big house. It was I guess a two-story house, but very big. And he gave me a room in that house, and then we had a room that we used for a temple room also. And so we started having programs there. If you ever get those Betamax things transferred, then you'll probably see something there from some of those programs. So that was about 84, 83, 84, 83, I think. And but he was renting out rooms to other people also, and it was kind of like a small boarding house, and it wasn't really so suitable, I thought, for having our programs, and it was okay for having our programs, but anyway, I thought we should have our own place, so I rented a house, and I was there also by myself, and then Sundays we'd have a program there. Sometimes they would come special days like today. And anyway, all this time, then I was reading Bhagavatam every day, and before reading Bhagavatam, doing some morning program, chanting, and doing some kirtan and so forth, and doing some small puja to the Bhagavatam by offering some tulsi and sandalwood paste. And for some reason, idea occurred to me, it would be good, desirable. I was desiring, for whatever reason, to have the opportunity to do some worship, puja, to the deity of Krishna. And I also knew from talking with Srila Giri Maharaja, hearing what he had to say about these things, that it wasn't going to be possible for me to have Radha Krishna, Radha Govinda. It wasn't going to be possible even Gaur Nitai. It wasn't going to be possible even Mahaprabhu. And Shalagram Shila was out of the question. So I thought a little bit about Govardhan Shila. And I knew the process was to take permission of Guru Maharaj, and if he gave his permission, then I could go to Vrindavan and ask some Brajabasi to give me one Govardhan Shila. But anyway, I was reluctant to do that anyway, but before, I probably would not have done it, as a matter of fact. But anyway, then somehow or other, by his grace, I got a phone call from Goswami Maharaj telling me, Maharaj, Braja Bihari and his wife are on their way. They're on their way to New York or someplace, but they have a Govardhan Shila that they can no longer. They feel that they cannot maintain properly, do proper worship, and they were wondering if you would like to have him. Yes, of course. So okay, then I'll tell them and they'll come by in a few days. They're leaving, I think, California. They'll come by in a few days and see you in Fort Worth. So that's what happened. They came. I was very surprised by this. And so they had, anyway, they had everything. They had some small, well, do you see that? This box there, that bamboo box? Mm-hmm. He came in that bamboo box. Mm. That's his bed. Huh?
That's his bedroom.
Yeah. And he was in that bamboo box, and one of that plastic case down there with the handle on it had some clothes. Still, we have many sets of clothes and necklaces and makuts, crowns, and things like that, many decorations for him. And so actually they were taking very nice care of him. And so he came with everything. He came with, he didn't have a singhasan. The singhasan, somehow there happened to be an extra one in San Jose. Huh?
There was a glass one that opened up.
No, this seat that he's on, this throne.
Oh, yeah.
He didn't have a throne. I don't remember what. Maybe he had something that he was sitting on. I don't remember what it was. But one of my visits to San Jose, I think Goswami Maharaj asked me if, he said, we have this singhasan we're not using. Would you like it? I said, yes. So got this very nice seat, this throne that he's sitting on. And that thing that you're thinking about, I think I bought that for him in Fort Worth. So we have a little privacy of his own room. So at any rate, miraculously he came to me. I was so happy, actually very happy by that. And so began the worship from that day and continued it until now. And to maintain that, because of course I was traveling then, and I've traveled many times since then, all over different parts of the world. And so I didn't stay in that rented house in Fort Worth. I don't know how long I stayed there. I stayed there about a year altogether. And then I thought I'd try another place. I think I went to Denton, Texas, a big college town in Texas. And then took Giri Raj with me there, and then did some traveling. And later I got that travel trailer, a really nice travel trailer, and made a nice. It had a perfect place for him there. There was one high spot, like a little kind of a corner where he could sit very nicely. So we went many places around the country like that. And when I went to India, if I went any place, then I took him with me. I noticed some photo. I've been going through a lot of photos lately looking for things, and there's a photo of me in one of the rooms in the Brahmachari ashram where Mahananda's office is. Actually, I think it's that room just across from his, actually. And I noticed on the shelf behind me, someone took a photo of me, and behind me is Giri Raj is sitting there on that shelf. I went to Russia, Giri Raj went to Russia with me, I went to Mexico, Giri Raj went to Mexico with me. Venezuela, when Govardhan Maharaj went to, I think his first trip, second trip to Venezuela, maybe his first trip, I don't recall, maybe his first trip. I went to Venezuela, I took Giri Raj with me, because I had there was no one else to look after him. I took him with me, and they were starting to do more careful checking. You know, when you go, they started having security. You know, before this, they weren't doing the security thing. You could just walk on the plane, and there was no pat down or anything. You know, no checking for weapons or anything like that. But after a while, then that became a little more difficult. I used to carry him in that bed, and in a case. See that gray case over there, like a makeup case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I used to carry him like that. But then the security people were checking. You know, they started to always open that up. Not always, but sometimes they would. When they started using these x-ray machines and they'd see something in there they couldn't figure out, so they'd ask me to open it up so they could see. And fortunately, whenever it happened, they were very polite, very, very nice, you know, extremely nice. I told them, this is the deity of the Lord. Oh, and of course they can see I'm in some unusual dress, not just, you know. So they thought it must be something to what he's saying, I guess. So, and they always asked me to unpack him, so he was always in my hand. They never touched him, actually. But they would look and they'd, oh, okay. All right, we've seen enough. When I'm opening and I'm doing dandavat like this, you know, and showing my regards to Giri Raj, and etc. And they're, you know, taking this all in. But anyway, I thought, but you know, I don't know what's going to happen. So then I started trying to hide him when I was going through these security screenings. So at some point, Leela Sundari made me. You made that. You knitted that bag, right?
Mm-hmm.
She knitted a little bag to hold Giri Raj, and so sometimes I got one of these money pouches that goes around your neck that I keep them, wrap them in some nice cloth and then keep them in there, and then I would go through it and they wouldn't notice anything. Then Leela Sundari Devi made this knitted, a very nice little thing with some yarn, and that would go around my neck and I could carry it like that. So in this way we started sneaking him through all the security checkpoints in the airports. So I guess maybe he's not Anu Giri Raj, maybe he's traveling Giri Raj. Parivrajaka Giri Raj. So he's been many places, and I know that I know what is required for his worship. Srila Maharaj said clearly what is required: to offer some Ganga Jal and Tulsi daily. And so pretty much, I think hardly we've missed a day of that. It's been every day for. He came in about 1984, so 20, 25, 26 years, something like that now. And here, he's been here since about 1990 in 1987 when we went to New York. Soon after I went there, Ramai Prabhu came, and Ramai was doing the Puja of Giri Raj. We went to Boyd Street in Camden. Ramai was with me there. Then when Ramai went to California, then I took up the that seva again. So when we can offer nicer things and more things, and we're doing that. When we can offer more extensive puja, we're doing that. Every day, waking, offering tulsi and ganga jal, some incense, a flower, and sometimes bathing, sometimes not, sometimes offering a feast, sometimes not, sometimes offering some sweets, sometimes not. Sometimes offering, sometimes you're getting big meals and sometimes some little something. And I question myself sometimes, he's okay with this or not. And I rely on what I heard from Srila Giri Maharaja. He told me that the worship of Giri Raj is in the mood of Raga Marg. Especially the worship of Giri Raj especially is in the mood of Raga Marg. So that's our mood anyway. We're trying to follow, maybe not our mood, but trying to follow sort of the standard. Our gurus have all advised us to be careful of what, for some reason, is the tendency. The tendency is to go to vidhi marg. Tendency is to establish many rules and regulations, or regulate very carefully the deity puja, and to get sort of very involved with it. Srila Swami Maharaj, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Govardhan Maharaj, all warned against that. And so then, what to speak of worship of Giri Raj? It's what he likes is spontaneous. You give what you can, give when you can, and he's happy with that. So I don't say it from personal knowledge, but from what I heard from Srila Giri Maharaja, and I believe what he says. So for that reason, I can say it with confidence. So sometimes we get some ice cream. Actually, every time, pretty much, we get some ice cream, we're giving to Giri Raj first. Anything nice, some mango comes, or some new thing, some new fruit comes in season, some peaches, some pears, or something like that, then I'm always thinking, first let's give this to Giri Raj. Something very nice has come, let's give this to Giri Raj. Trying to take that, do at least that much. And as much as we can, more than that. So, the other, and Govinda Maharaj is intimately involved with Giri Raj also, because somehow, I don't know, somehow I heard, I don't remember what happened that this came to my attention, but, from Sagar Maharaj. Yes, Sagar Maharaj said a horrible thing one time about how someone putting the clown face on the Govardhan Shila. So he was talking about how I used to keep with Giri Raj, using tilak, gopi chandan, to make some tilak on Giri Raj and to put some smile and some eyes and those sorts of things. And like they're doing now, we're Anu Giri Raj and Govardhan, right? They're doing that, I think. So Sagar Maharaj knew what was right is that in our Gaudiya Mat, we're not actually supposed to be worshipping Giri Raj that way with the Makuts. And so I was doing that. If you see the photo from, I saw some photo from New York in '87, and he's with the little decoration nose and mouth and eyes and Makuts and everything. So, so after hearing that from Sagar Maharaj, I think it was right after he visited here. It must have been around the time of Srila Govinda Maharaj's first visit to the United States. And Sagar Maharaj came ahead of time, and he was visiting different places to see if there was enough support to bring Govinda Maharaj there. And so somewhere around that time, I heard this from Sagar Maharaj, and I was wondering about it. So when in India, then I asked Srila Govinda Maharaj, and he confirmed, yes, that's correct. We're not doing that. And I'm giving every argument that I know, every reason that I can think of why that may be accepted. And actually two things. One is Gunjamala, and the other is the Makuts on the face. So in at Chaitanya Mat in Mayapur, there is a Govardhan hill, and they constructed a Govardhan hill, and on top of Govardhan hill is there's deity of Giri Raj, Govardhan Shila, and they have that face there. And I told Govinda Maharaj, no, that's Gaudiya Mat's not doing that. Maharaj, I'm sure that I saw that there at Chaitanya Mat. And finally he said, well, if they are, it wasn't done during the time of Saraswati Thakur. Okay. And then the next topic was then the Gunjamala. And Giri Raj has, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave Govardhan Shila to Raghunath Das Goswami, then he gave the Govardhan Shila, and he also gave some necklace of Gunjamala. And Raghunath Das worshipped those as Radha and Krishna. The Gunjamala representing Radharani, and the Govardhan Shila as Krishna. So I thought, surely that's bona fide, because it's in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And but Govinda Maharaj said, no, we're not worshipping Giri Raj with Gunjamala. So I put that question every which way to make sure that I understood absolutely, perfectly, clearly, without question what he's saying, and I went away understanding perfectly, clearly, absolutely what he said. We do not worship Govardhan Shila with Gunjamala. It is not done in our mat. So I came back here. Well, I was in India then. So he had come to the United States. I heard this. I went to India to invite him to, one of the reasons was to invite him to come here to New York. So talked to him about these things, this. Came back here and couldn't bring myself to make these changes. It was, as Divya Shakti is telling me, when you've done something for a long time, you tend to want to keep doing the same thing. So I was accustomed to worshipping Giri Raj in this way, been doing it for, by that time, almost 10 years or so. 10 years, actually, more or less. And this was my tradition, my custom, my habit, everything. And so after being back for, I don't know, a month or two, something like that, finally I got the courage to stop it. Okay, from today we'll no longer be doing this. And so no more crown, no more face, no more eyes, no more. I may have stopped that part before, I'm not sure, but no more Gunjamala. So the Gunjamala, when I was putting Giriraj to rest, I was always, the Gunjamala was always with him on his throne, and when putting him to rest, with him in his bed. So on this day, this morning, I was waking Giriraj. I put him on his throne, and I kept the Gunjamala in the bed. And somehow Leela Sundari came to know of this. Leela Sundari, how did you come to know that I would stop putting Gunjamala on the throne with Giriraj? Do you know? Do you remember?
A little bit before Sundar Govinda
No, but how did you know? Were you doing
Because
puja?
we asked the question.
Huh?
You asked the question, should Gunjamala be on the...
No, yeah. But I guess, I think she must have been you were sometimes waking Giriraj?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I told her, don't just leave the Gunjamala in the bed. Don't put the Gunjamala with Giriraj.
Mm-hmm.
Leela Sundari became so disturbed. Oh, she was so upset. No, Maharaj, don't do that. You can't keep them separated. They must be kept together. And she was absolutely insistent. I was insistent one way, and she was insistent the other way. I was insistent. No, Govinda Maharaj told me. Then she was saying, never mind what he says. Don't listen to him.
Just put them together.
Yeah, they must be kept together. And she was thinking, it is Radha and Krishna, they can't be separated. So, fortunately, Govinda Maharaj came within a few weeks of that. And so when he came, then he was staying in that room where I am now. And so every morning, very early, 3:30, 4 o'clock, as soon as he's waking, I'm going there and visiting with him, sitting, talking, etc. And then I had to come and wake the deities. Mm-hmm. So I came in and did the usual thing. And Govinda Maharaj starts to walk from that room into the temple, and he's going to come and speak with the devotees or something. Leela Sundari catches his attention. What did you say? Do you remember Leela Sundari? Mm-hmm. Anyway, she's tearfully making her case, crying. Maharaj, Giri Maharaj won't allow the Gunjamala to be kept with Giriraj on his throne. And, do you remember anything about what you said to him, Leela?
You said, why not, or something. I just said,
yeah, so then Govinda Maharaj said, oh, why is that? Whatever, I don't know. I don't know, but, it's a horrible thing. It's a great tragedy, and whatever she said was very sincere, very sincere, very heartfelt, and full of crying and tears. So then I'm picking up, I'm hearing this. You know, I'm waking Giri Raj, and I'm hearing in the background what's being said. Govardhan Maharaj and Leela Sundari talking. And
It's his stuff.
and then Govardhan Maharaj said, no, you can keep them together. And I'm thinking, oh, I must not have heard, I must have heard wrong. He couldn't have said that. So I was behind the screen, and I came out and asked Govardhan Maharaj, did you say that the Gunjamala should be kept with Govardhan Shila? Yes, Maharaj. But you said this. I was with you in Navadweep and everything, you know. And so anyway, everything completely reversed. It's a rope, it's a snake. It's a snake, it's a rope. It's day, it's night. It could not have been more clear what he said in Navadweep. And he could not have been more clear what he said here either. And so that was about 1993 or 1994. And I think 94. So Giri Raj has been worshipped with Gunjamala since that time by the order of His Divine Grace, Srila Govardhan Maharaj. Yes.
Can you say something about the conception of Govardhan in our line?
Wow.
About taking
Yeah,
the
Govardhan.
shelter and...
Generally there's some, I think the clearest picture of what is Govardhan Shila is, can be understood from this, that generally when we, before beginning to worship a deity, there's a ceremony for installing the deity. And the guru or the Vaishnava invites the deity to come and accept the worship. But with Govardhan, there is no such function, because already he's considered Krishna. He's Krishna without no need to call him or anything. He's there, present, automatically, already. He is non-different. So, this was shown in in the celebration that we're observing today. Let me just, I'll come back to that, but I just got one other thing while I'm thinking about it, is the highest position for us is the service of Krishna in Govardhan. So, Raghunath Das Goswami gives the level of spiritual planes. Vaikuntha, the spiritual plane of Vaikuntha. Then, but superior to the spiritual plane of Vaikuntha is Mathura. And he says because the Lord took his birth in Mathura. But superior to Mathura is Vrindavan, the forest of Vrindavan. In the Kunja, in the groves of Vrindavan, Radha and Krishna performed their Rasa Leela pastimes. So that is considered superior to the place of Mathura. But superior to that is Govardhan, Govardhan Hill. And there many groves where Radha and Krishna engage in their pastimes. And that is the place of that is very dear to the Lord. Then, more than that is Radhakund and Shamakund, because there it's said that the Leela of the Lord is like always ever-flowing rasa, that the sweetness of the Lord's pastimes is captured there. Radhakund and Govinda, Radhakund and Shamakund, the place where they engage, they have their pastimes, they're in the water pastime, water sports, water pastimes. Then those are considered to be the two highest places. But they're not our place. They're the place of our gurus. Our gurus. When I took sannyas and I asked Srila Giri Maharaja, what is the meaning of the name you've given, Kanan Giri? And he told me that Kanan means the forest of Vrindavan, and Giri means Govardhan. So refers to that place in Govardhan, the forest of Govardhan, where Radha and Govinda are engaged in their pastimes. And he said, and we will live there, and every day we will go from Govardhan to Radhakund, and there attend to our Guru, do some seva for our Guru. It is too high a place for us. We are not qualified to live there. But our Guru, he is there. And we will go and do some seva to him. And we'll return to Govardhan. And that will be our place. So that is the place for us. And when Srila Govinda Maharaj told Srila Giri Maharaj that, he said, Srila Giri Maharaj said he advised Govinda Maharaj, don't make many mats, don't make many temples. And Govinda Maharaj said, okay, but our devotees, they have very much interest in Puri, Jagannath Puri, and Vrindavan. And then Giri Maharaj said, then if you need to do something, then first you can do something in Govardhan. You can make a temple in Govardhan. And that is our place. That is the most important place for us. So, and again, and more or less the same explanation that I just gave, that there we will stay, and daily we will go to Kusham Sarovara, collect some flowers, and take them for the service of the divine couple in Radhakund, and then we will stay in Govardhan, like that. So what is Govardhan? What is the conception of Govardhan? Well, that's one conception. Part of it is that. It is infused with the prema of Krishna and Radharani, and the gopis, the most dear friends of Srimati Radharani, the 8 Sakis, her associates. And it is also the place of the Manjaris. So many pastimes of the Lord, Govinda Maharaj was saying, in the Kunja, the groves of that area, then Radha and Govinda, the gopis, they're engaged in their pastimes. And if we get some position of service under Sri Rupa Goswami, under this, then, and under the guidance of our Guru, then we may get some chance to do some seva there. So, in Krishna Lila, its importance also is that the special thing is what we're celebrating today. The residents of Vrindavan, they are accustomed to worshipping the demigods. Of course, this is Leela, not that their target is Krishna, but for Leela they are showing that they're worshipping the demigods. And so Indra is in charge of the rains, and so they're thinking like one would naturally think. They're dependent on their grass, abundant grasses. The cows are feeding on the grass. So rain is necessary for that. Grains are necessary, so to wheat, rice, etc. for that, then there must be sufficient rain, and everything is growing very nicely when there's nice rainfall. So they're worshipping it every year. It was their custom to have some Indra Yagya, Indra Puja, and they would worship Lord Indra. And as through as is natural when someone is accustomed to being worshipped, then he may become a little proud, a little puffed up, and think, this is very good, just see how they're all worshipping me. And Indra became proud. And Krishna wanted to defeat the pride of Indra. So he told the residents of Vrindavan, the men were in charge of this yajna. And suddenly Krishna said, what need to worship Indra? That's not doing. What is he doing for us? So we're getting everything that we're getting. The cows are grazing on the grasses of Govardhan. And we're cow herdsmen. All of our wealth is coming from the cows. Milk, from the milk we're getting ghee and yogurt and butter and all of these things. Oh, this is our wealth. And so what is the point of worshiping Indra when the thing that is really giving us our nourishment is Govardhan? So instead of worshiping Indra, you forget that. Instead you worship Govardhan Hill. That will be the best thing for us. And they gave argument, and Krishna gave his argument. And Govinda Maharaj said, and the residents of Vrindavan, they were also proud. They were proud because they had Krishna. And they thought, oh, Krishna, he is very powerful. So what is Indra compared to Krishna? So why do we need to fear anything from Indra? Krishna, he's saying do this and this. Oh, we'll do what he says. We'll follow what Krishna says. So they did that. And so they prepared a big festival, Annakut today, also known as Annakut, and many grains and giant mounds of rice and so many things, all the milk products, sweets, sandesh and rasgulla and all of these things, so many things they prepared very nicely, lavishly, beautifully, and in giant, big quantities of these things. And they decorated the cows very nicely with gold ornaments and colors, different, painted the cows different colors. Made everything very, very beautiful. The cows also, everything they're getting from the cows and they're getting from Govardhan. So worship of the cow is suitable, and worship of Govardhan is favorable. So they did that. And when everything was prepared and they made the offering, then Krishna assumed some wonderful form as Govardhan, and as Govardhan he took all the offerings, ate everything,